The Yorknew City arc was perfect. We had Karapika as the main character of the arc, and with him being my favorite character, I really liked that he was. Karapika gets a job working for the Mafia as the underboss of the Nostrad family, and he started working for them so he could get the stolen Scarlet Eyes of his clan to help him go after the Phantom Troop. And of course, the Phantom Troop are the villains of this arc, and they were amazing villains to have during this arc. Some of the best villains in all of Hunter x Hunter. Of course, we also get to see Gon, Leorio, and Killua during this arc as well. It's not only Karapika, it's just that they're mainly focusing on him. But we get to see them all back together, which in the arc before, Heaven's Arena, we did not. We only got to see Gon and Killua. So it was nice to see for one last time during the anime that they were back together. We saw that Uvogin was so powerful and he was able to beat 3 shadow beasts all by himself. But Karapika managed to take him with his chain and had Uvogin screaming for his life when he flew into the air. They were tracked by the Phantom Troop and chased, but they did eventually manage to get away. However, Uvogin is saved by the Phantom Troop, but by the time he's saved, Karapika is gone, so he goes to find him so that they can fight. And when he finds him, my favorite fight of all of Hunter x Hunter happens. In the beginning, it's sort of even, but after a little while, it becomes obvious that it looks like Karapika's winning, or maybe getting the better of Uvogin. With Karapika using his Emperor Time and his chains, he uses Chain Jail on Uvogin, which he can only use on Phantom Troop members, and it's such a overpowered ability that he beats Uvogin with it, wanting information from Uvogin, telling him he'll spare his life, but Uvogin is not going to help him and is not going to betray the Phantom Troop, and Karapika takes his life. He even brought a shovel to the fight. He dug a hole, put Uvogin in it, and then buried him. That was probably one of the craziest things that had ever happened in Hunter x Hunter. Not only was it surprising that he was able to beat somebody as powerful as Uvogin and how much more powerful he got, but then we're being shown that he buried Uvogin. Karapika also meets up with Hisoka, who is helping him out with the Phantom Troop. Hisoka is actually sort of a member of the Phantom Troop during that time, but is just going behind their back and only wants to fight Crollo, which will happen obviously later in the series. And next we see Crollo, and he does a bunch of crazy stuff. He goes after the Nostrad family's daughter, doing a quick chop to make her pass out. Of course though, he fights Zeno and Silva at the same time. This was a very impressive fight for him and showed that he was a very powerful Nen user. However, it seems during this time Zeno and Silva were both a little more powerful than him, and even though he held his own, Zeno and Silva were being cautious. But this was just an amazing fight to get. It was intense, engaging, entertaining, and just something we never got to see before. So this might be my other favorite fight along with Karapika vs Uvogin, and they're both within the same arc, which makes this arc even better since it has my 2 favorite fights. Karapika, Leorio, Gon, and Killua all try to make a plan to go after the Phantom Troop, but however, Gon and Killua get taken by them, and Karapika decides his main goal now isn't to just go after the Phantom Troop and beat them, but it's to get Gon and Killua back from them. So he's gonna have to do things a little bit differently now. He manages to take Crollo, use him to trick the Phantom Troop and try to get Gon and Killua back, and set things up in a way where he can make the trade without things going wrong for him. And during this time, he showed how intelligent he was, and the trade between them went successfully. However, he made Crollo lose his ability to use Nen. But I love how it went from Karapika having his main focus to take out the Phantom Troop and get revenge to saving Gon and Killua. It showed how much he really cared for his friends. But if we get back to the Phantom Troop, there was a time where Crollo used his new ability he got from the Nostrad family's daughter that allowed him to see into the future, and he found out that apparently Hisoka might be a traitor. And while a lot of the Phantom Troop members were thinking that he definitely was a traitor and mad at him, Crollo questioned him and came to the conclusion that Hisoka isn't allowed to answer certain questions because he's being controlled by the chain user, who was of course Kurapika. And I always think back to how Chrollo was talking about how Judas betrayed Jesus, and I feel like that represents Hisoka perfectly, and he's exactly like Judas. All the small details of this arc were great, and that's probably one of my favorite. It's not like Hisoka was called Judas, but it was almost as if it was implied that he was like Judas, the way he betrayed the Phantom Troop. Also, Hisoka confronted Chrollo, taking his Phantom Troop sticker off and telling him he wants to fight. But of course, Chrollo lost his ability to use Nen, so it left Hisoka speechless, and it seemed a little sad. But he got over it quickly and moved on. As much as he wanted to fight Chrollo, he realized he couldn't, and it was just too bad. However, I do kind of wish that we did get to see them fight there, and somehow Chrollo did still have his Nen, because that would have just been amazing. And maybe even the best fight we had ever gotten in Hunter x Hunter, since we never got to see them fight in the anime. And I know they fight later in the manga. But overall, the Yorknew City arc was an amazing one. It was very well rounded. There were so many great characters. What was happening was entertaining. The storyline, the fights, the art style, everything about this part was great. I have no complaints. Could things have maybe possibly been a little better in some ways I can think of? Maybe they could have done this. Maybe. But pretty much, I like everything about the part. So I would say that the Yorknew City arc was perfect. And I hope we see similar arcs to this one in the future, in the anime, and not only in the manga. I've watched this arc multiple times, I think 5, and I'm definitely going to watch it many more times in the future. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think in the comments. Is this your favorite arc, or is it one of your favorite Hunter x Hunter arcs? And I'll see you in the next video.